Hey, I'm Jen, host of the Open Bedroom podcast, where you'll find topics of sex, dating, relationships, non monogamy, and more. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Okay. Welcome back to the Open Bedroom podcast. Today I have my husband, Scott, on. He's wearing his Girl Daddy shirt. If you guys aren't watching this, you can watch on YouTube, you can watch on Spotify. This is definitely an episode that you're going to want to watch because we have some pretty good chemistry and it might be fun. Anyway, Scott's on here today. We're going to talk about boners. We're going to talk about the journey that at least one man, but I'm assuming the collective of men go through as they come out of being these teenagers, maybe teens and young 20s with voracious boners. And then one day you wake up and go, oh, what is happening to my body? And what does that journey look like? And kind of where are we at today with our sex life? So, Scott,
I
take us on a
still
journey.
find this amusing how you characterize it as a journey. Well, as you know, I didn't have I didn't become sexually active until my early 20s, much later than I guess the average person. So I didn't have a bunch of like raging boners and wild horny teenage sex going on. That wasn't an experience for me. Um, and then pretty much with my first girlfriend when I was like maybe 22, I think. Um, well, I think I've explained to you the first time I had sex was with a much older woman, and that was kind of a one-time thing where a classy, sophisticated, worldly lady decided to seduce me and introduce me to the ways of the world, and that went very well. Uh, but like starting with my first real girlfriend, I think I always had a sort of um, consciousness or awareness, self-consciousness about being able to perform. I think she kind of took me by surprise by initiating sex, and like it wasn't really something that I was expecting to happen with her for various reasons. But it was great. I was just immediately mindful because she really liked it and wanted to do it a lot. And so I was immediately mindful of, well, I don't want to disappoint her. I want to make sure she's like, I want to make sure I can perform for her. Um, and I'm not, again, I'm not sure if that is like the average young man's experience. Just, you know, from what I hear from people, um, like especially much younger guys, they're just like their mindset. Maybe this is a little unfair and generalizing, but I think maybe the stereotype is that really young guys like they're just looking to get off when they're horny, and as soon as they're getting off, they're good. And if you had some pleasure from it, yeah, well that's great for their ego, but it's kind of like, oh, thanks for taking care of me, babe. And then, you know, back to playing video games or watching Sports Center or something. I don't know. But I was pretty self-conscious right from the start about like being able to please my girlfriend. Um, and I don't think at the time, hmm, like I well, at that time, I didn't consider anything like ED meds, and I imagine people even younger people. I imagine that people even who don't necessarily have a problem with ED like still use Viagra or whatever, Cialis, almost as a party drug, especially in the swinger slash hookup community, I imagine. Um, but anyway, I just remember being a little self-conscious about that. And it wasn't really an issue. Like I didn't have a hard time getting aroused with her, but it was still something that weighed on my mind that maybe I felt a little bit of anxiety over. Um, and hmm, and I didn't really have like through my 20s, I didn't have a whole lot of like hookups. I had a couple of short-lived, kind of intense uh relationships, and I don't know, this is kind of a I feel like I'm kind of meandering here, just like giving. At no point in my early 20s was I just like this raging boner sex machine. Um, the couple of girlfriends that I had, aside from one or two, like kind of fortuitous one-off encounters, the couple of girlfriends that I had were long distance. I didn't see them incredibly often, and when I did see them, yeah, we had sex. I wasn't I didn't have like as good of control over myself as I have now, probably. Um, and like I didn't have a lot of trouble becoming aroused, but it was still something that gave me a bit of anxiety. In fact, I think in my mid 20s, there was one point when I was still in the Air Force that I went and asked the clinic, "Hey, you know, I'm worried that I might have a performance issue. Can I get on, like Viagra?" Because that was the only thing I'd ever even heard about at the time. Uh, could I just wanted to have that as like in my back pocket, in case because I think I was actually going to have a visit with a long distance girlfriend, and I was worried about not being able to perform for her. I don't know why. Like it wasn't necessarily that I'd had problems with it, but it was just something that I was mindful of, and I didn't want to risk being disappointing. Um, so I was looking into that. Um, but yeah, like are we going like all the way from 20 years of I think it was in my mid 30s. I actually went and was seeing an endocrinologist for a different issue, and she asked at one point how my like if I was satisfied with my sexual performance, and I said, well, I don't know. I haven't really been having a lot of sex lately, but maybe. And she gave me like a free trial or a coupon card for, I think it was called Stindra. And eventually I started dating somebody. I tried using Stindra just because again, I didn't necessarily have issues with ED, but I wanted to I didn't want that to become an issue. It was still something I was conscious of. And so I think maybe the message I'm trying to get across here, at least from me, was that I almost viewed it more of like um maybe a crutch. Like I didn't I didn't want to risk disappointing a partner, so I would just try to have that on hand uh to alleviate any anxiety, the anxiety of not being able to perform. And I think that may have maybe that maybe that created an anxiety complex to where I felt like I'm if I don't have and at that time like I wasn't getting sildenafil through the VA or anything. Like it was actually pretty expensive. It was expensive to just have, plenty of ED meds on hand, aside from maybe like two that came in a little trial packet that I got from the endocrinologist. Um, so there were times when I was dating where I just didn't have any I didn't have any Stendra left, or at one point I got like a prescription for Viagra from a different doctor. Um, and I remember like the anxiety of not having it on hand, I think really impaired my being able to become aroused or have an erection. So I think eventually it became maybe a bit of a crutch. Um, I mean, I could like this could go all over the place. Where do you want
I
to?
think this is so helpful because I'm imagining that so many men that are listening are going, this is my story too. You mentioned the swinger and poly communities where we're having sex with multiple people. This is definitely a thing. I think most of the men are
Yeah,
popping blue pills before they go in, and rightly so. There's no right or wrong about any of this. I think
yeah,
the journey that you're taking us on is this is something that a lot of men deal with all the time. And what's interesting from a female's point of view is I don't lay there and go, oh, geez, I can't perform. I can't get wet. I can't have an orgasm. So this is going to be terrible. And I don't have a ton of anxiety
right.
around it. Like you just throw some lube on and we go for it, right? So this is definitely something that I can imagine is incredibly stressful for men. And I just think I know this is hard and probably embarrassing to share this entire story with public people, but I appreciate it and I think our listeners appreciate it. Um, just you being so transparent about your own journey.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting and because yeah, I know I'm sure there's some self-consciousness among women about like being able to get wet,
Mhm.
like being able and to the extent that, women as they're reaching middle age, they're looking into hormone therapies in part to help them keep, maintaining that. Um, but but at the same time, it's different because, like you said, you can put some lube down there. We can rub some coconut oil on things, and you know, you're still, it's still going to be just fine. You can't just rub some coconut oil on your cock and make it
Right.
magically get hard. And especially, it's kind of like goes hand in hand with having a big cock. And I know a lot of women, we've had this conversation before. I know scores of women will say, oh, it's not the size that matters. But if the size didn't matter, all of your fantasy romance novels wouldn't broadcast the lover's massive cock,
Right.
and the dildos at the store wouldn't 90% of them be just from above average to freakishly large. Like that is extremely fetishized, along with just being able to have, you know, uh, raging hard-ons, being able to get hard at the drop of a hat and ready to go. Um, and if you're not, I don't know, I mean, I guess I'm sure there are guys that can just get hard on a whim. But if you're not one of those blessed uh, specimens, then yeah, I think it's probably pretty normal to have some anxiety if you care. Like if you're the kind of guy who just you know your sex life and everything just revolves around you when you're hard and your cock and when you want to get off, and it doesn't really like we're not really taking into consideration your partner's desires, then I guess you're fine. But if you do care about your being able to satisfy your partner, yeah, you want to. I think there is a degree of anxiety around, being able to perform and not being able to perform. And what are the consequences? What are the consequences going to be if, whenever my girlfriend or my wife is horny, if I can't get it up, that if, like over time, that becomes emasculating, obviously. And maybe they start looking elsewhere, or at least you have anxiety that they're going to be looking elsewhere. They're going to be fantasizing about the guy who's always got the massive boner, on in the porno movie or the FetLife page or wherever, um, or the sex guru that your friend's telling you about, who's just an amazing, just a sex god. And yeah, you should ditch your limp dick boyfriend and go have a fling with this guy. Like, these are all things that enter your mind if you are not performing to a degree where you feel like, oh yeah, my partner's really satisfied. Like, I've got her really locked down.
I've got to really lock down. I love that.
Yeah.
So I think it's fascinating that with all of this anxiety and all these years of anxiety that you've had, that you end up with me, like someone that is always horny, someone that
Yeah.
wants very, very regular sex. So like let's talk about how this affects, like how did it affect our life? I can only imagine that that just amplifies the amount of anxiety when your me is
Well,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
because it's like, and we've experienced this a few times, because
yeah.
like my body doesn't always cooperate with me. And like we wake up and we're just kind of like fondling each other and fooling around. And, you know, I'm not, as much as I might like to, I'm not just instantly getting hard. And you're like, oh my God, I want to feel you inside me. I really want to feel you inside me. And just hearing that, I'm thinking, well, shit, she's going to be disappointed because like my body is not doing what I want it to, what I would like for it to right now. And it's just yeah, it puts a damper on the mood. Um or it's like, if I'm not just, you know, loading up on sildenafil or something, and we're kind of fooling around, but we're not like, you're not at the point where you're just begging for it. And if I get if I get hard before you're all, just absolutely ready to go, then it's like, oh well, here's a new anxiety. Can I stay hard until she's ready? Or do we just rush it? And it's like, well, you know, she obviously she doesn't like it as much when we just rush it. Um, and I mean that could apply to all kinds of situations. That could apply to, well, anyway, you get what I'm saying. So,
Well, I was even thinking about like years ago before you found some solutions. Um, Like I'm thinking about the previous house that we were in, and for some reason I have this like flash of memory of you like walking up the stairs and me being in the kitchen and being like, I'm so frustrated. Like this is so frustrating. And this was maybe we had just moved in. I don't really remember. But there's been a few times where I felt like I just don't think you're attracted to me. Like I don't think I'm sexy enough for you. And I felt the same way with another partner that we will not name, where for years it was me dieting, going to trainers, like
mm,
furiously trying to have the perfect body, going to Victoria's
yeah.
Secret and spending thousands of dollars on lingerie to try to be sexy enough that that my person wanted to have sex with me. And then it's still not working and it's still not being enough. And so I think the women listening to this, they might also be feeling like I'm just not pretty enough. I'm not hot anymore. I'm getting older. And I mean, you can answer. I don't think that that's actually what's happening.
Well, no, of course not. Hmm.
And by the
And
way, like
which
why you sharing this is really helpful. The internal
what
workings of men's minds, because most men aren't
oh
willing to share all of this.
mm. Yeah, I mean it adds like that just exacerbates the anxiety because it's already frustrating that, oh, I want to have sex with my wife, or my girlfriend or whoever, but my body's not cooperating. And then
It's okay. They can't hear.
Sir
Our
Honeybow's
dog is barking.
oh um and then to add on to that, uh the anxiety that, oh, well, shit, now my wife's going to think I'm not attracted to her. She's
Yes.
going to feel like she's not desirable. Um, is she going to believe me? Like, if she knows I'm taking a Viagra before we, fool around, is she going to feel like, oh, it's the drugs I'm aroused by the drugs and not by her?
Mm,
Like, that's the kind of thing I worry about. Or just different types of different layers of
yeah.
anxiety that can enter your mind. And yeah, and and well, yeah, that I mean that's something that comes to mind. And I think maybe a remedy for that is, I also think that, you know, a partner can tell when, or can usually tell when somebody uh is like ravenous for them. Like it's not just a matter of having like a hard cock. It's a matter of body language. It's a matter of how you're being looked at. What are they doing with their hands? Like are they are they just kind of like, you know, holding you in place or treating you kind of like an object, or are they just grasping for you? Are they pulling you to them? So
Mm,
there's uh, a lot of body language, a lot more than just the how hard their penis is, that is telling you that you are not desirable to the person that you're with.
awesome. Yep, totally agree. Okay, so you've taken us through, I think, the inner workings of, I think, how a lot of men are feeling. This frustrating, this like spiraling loop that you're in. This, now I have to take it every time. It's like a lucky piece of underwear, like lucky socks. If I don't take it, I'm not going to get hard. And then that becomes a reality. We've talked about sometimes how your partner can feel and how she might be feeling unattractive and like you don't want her anymore. And I think there's some ways to outside of the bedroom that you can remind your person that you're still like wild about them and it doesn't have to be that you have sex, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
we've talked about that. So let's talk now about so like at what point were you like I'm going to try something different. And what was that experience for you?
What do you mean try something different?
Well,
Because
I remember, well, go ahead.
no, please
I
clarify.
remember this moment where you were like, I have a telehealth appointment. You got on something different. And all of a sudden, we were having tremendous amounts of sex.
Huh. I don't actually remember that. I think I'm like at one point, um, well, because the VA was only giving me,
Tripping you out.
yeah, they were giving me like two Viagra pills for the month.
I know.
And I was like, well, I want to have sex more than twice a month.
Like,
My
this
wife
isn't
wants to
even
have
going to
a lot.
last us a week.
Yeah. Um, so I try, I'm not going to say the company's name. Maybe they'll become a sponsor and then I'll name drop them. But I tried a different one of these like, online advertised providers where,
But
yeah, you just,
reputable. Don't be thinking he's calling sketchy people. This is a reputable
yeah,
company for ED stuff.
I guess. Yeah, there's so many of them now. It seems like every day there's a new one being advertised on
This
Facebook or
one's on the New
something.
York Stock Exchange. Like it's legitimate. It's not
Okay.
like dark
All right.
web. Okay.
Anyway, point is, yeah, so and maybe most people aren't even aware that there are multiple different types of ED meds. There's sildenafil, which is Viagra, then there's tadalafil, which is I think Cialis, vardenafil. There's a bunch of different ones, um my understanding is some of them work better. Different ones work better for different people, or are more effective. Um, but mostly I did that just because I wanted to be able to have access to more than two a month. Um, and and yeah, I think just the like knowing that I had plenty on hand whenever I needed it, uh, made me feel a little more confident, made me feel less anxious and less parsimonious. Maybe that made me feel like I didn't necessarily need to ration uh when I was going to be able to.
Ration your boners.
Yeah. And like again, it was like obviously not I didn't always obviously I did obviously I didn't always have wasn't always taking a Viagra or something whenever we had sex, because we had sex a whole lot more than twice a month. Um, but yeah, I think just having that on hand, uh, like if we were going to plan a special night or something, it's nice like having those morning boners, because that's like a free one. That's like you're pretty reliably, if you're not in terrible health, men are going to have morning erections, and then that's fun to take advantage of. But if we're gonna like plan, okay, we're gonna have a massage night, and then get sexy afterwards, or if we were dating somebody together and we were gonna have a fun uh, date night with them, uh, then it was nice to have that on hand just to make sure everything goes really well.
So I have a
And
question. Oh, go ahead. I'm
uh,
sorry.
no, and I want to also offer the maybe a caveat, as I looked into this as well, because there were times where I would take a Viagra and it still just didn't didn't really do anything. Um, and it's only about on average 60% of the time
Hmm.
does do orally taken ED meds work for people.
So I have a question. I remember at least like being younger and I'm a woman, I don't know, so I don't take Viagra, but I thought it was like you had to specially time it because it was going to start working in a certain amount of minutes or an hour, and then you had a window. And then I sort of remembered when you tried something different recently, you can like take it and you have like all day. Yeah, like anytime you want to like call up an erection, you can. Am I magicking that into the universe or was that a thing?
Well, I mean, that's a bit of an exaggeration. Um, but yeah, like again, the different pills have different windows. So Viagra, I believe it's supposed to take about 30 to 45 minutes to start working, and then you've got about 4 hour window there. And then the tadalafil, I think it takes about an hour to start working, and then you got 12 to 24 hours that you're supposedly good to go. Um, so again, like that's just something, your listeners should Google it if you're thinking about looking into an ED med. Again, those online ones, they'll ask you, what's your preference? Which one would you like? Do you want the Viagra? Do you want the Cialis? Do you want the other thing? Um, so yeah, Google it, because they have different. different effect
I'm
windows.
also going to put a link to our sponsor below. We have a sponsor, it's Shameless Care, who has been on the podcast recently.
Yeah.
They do telehealth visits. They also offer our listeners $15 off if you use the code Open Bedroom, and you can get all kinds of amazing AD support through them as well. Okay, now that I've plugged them, so I guess my question is, you've tried some different things. It feels like whatever you're using now is working really well. We have a tremendous amount of sex compared to most people, I would think. What
But I mean,
is,
a part of
yes?
that though is emotional as well.
Well, I was going to
Like
ask that. Uh-huh.
we've also had some like emotionally intense things going on in our relationship,
Mm.
and emotional intensity is is an incredible aphrodisiac. Even if it's negative emotions, it can then quickly flip over into just an intense flash of arousal. Um, so yeah, I think it's not just a matter of popping a magic pill and suddenly your sex life and your marriage is going to be so much better. There also, I think, needs to be a strong sense of like actual emotional connectedness and desire, um, which maybe that I'm saying that, and
Hmm.
that's like a counter narrative to the swingers who take their magic blue pill because they're just going to go fuck a bunch of randos in a hotel takeover or something. And obviously, they're not. I think in that sort of situation, it's the exhilaration of the moment or the setting, as opposed to like having an emotionally trying or an emotionally intense experience with your regular partner. I guess what I'm just trying to get at is there is definitely still an emotional, and even the ED meds will say that. They'll say you still have to be around, you have to actually be aroused by the situation. You have to be turned on for it to work. It just makes it a lot easier for your body to work.
I want to ask you something, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But
Okay.
like, what are a handful of ways that you find helps you be aroused? I know you have like a whole tool belt full of stuff, but I'm
A,
curious if you're willing to
really
share.
a tool belt full of stuff. I don't. Um. Well, geez, I don't know.
I mean,
Like
you did one when you went to bed.
I did one when I,
Yeah, you have a
well,
secret thing that you do that works.
a secret thing. I love how you're like giggling and grinning. Like, what? You mean when I get in bed naked? Is that what
Hmm.
you're talking about?
Like, how much has that changed our sex life?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
And why did it take us like
I
three and
think
a half
that's
years to figure
huge.
that out?
It didn't take us 3.5. I mean, like I think it I think what happened because we we figured out, I say figured out, like I say this like it should be obvious, and maybe it's not obvious to people. Like getting him, if you're not repulsed by your partner, getting in bed naked together and feeling, your partner's bare skin against yours, that's extremely. I think that should be arousing. Like that should naturally be pretty arousing to feel your partner's body against yours, with nothing separating you. Um, but like I guess our routine for a while was okay, if if we're going to have sex in the morning, I should go to bed naked. And otherwise, I'll just wear my t-shirt and shorts like I usually do.
Yeah.
And then I think what just kind of maybe dawned on us after a while is like, well, why would I want to go to bed like unless I'm just specifically trying not to be aroused or to arouse my wife, why would I go to bed with all these clothes on? Um, and so I think we just started making a practice of going to bed naked together. And then the natural consequence of that is, oh, we get turned on a lot more often and have sex a lot more often because we're just lying there holding each other naked. And it's like, why not? Let's just keep going. You start rubbing up against me and there's nothing in the way. Let's uh let's just keep going with this.
Yeah, and I think that so there's this whole like I don't want to say societal thing around consent because then that makes me sound sleazy that I don't believe in consent and I do. But there's this whole practice that I think has been done for a long time where it's like, I will throw a scarf over the lamp when I'm ready. Like, I'll put a sock on the
Sure.
door. I'm gonna like give you a secret sign. I'm gonna change the color of the lights in the bedroom. Like, why does it have to be so perfectly planned or like the smoke signal sent when I think that we were maybe doing that? Like, when we first started dating, I've said this a few times on the podcast. Like, I have this very deep desire for sex. And for me, my erotic blueprint is sex. I feel loved by sex through sex. When we have sex, I feel more loved by Scott than ever in any other way he could do anything like take out the garbage or pick the kids up or make me dinner or whatever. It's sex. And so for me, when we weren't having it very regularly, my nervous system would be like, oh my God, is it ever going to happen again? And Scott's like, we had sex yesterday. What are you talking about? Like, calm the fuck down. So I think maybe that was a way for me to try to like control, to know that I was going to have my nervous system satiated and my like love bucket filled up. And so I think when we like did away with the weird smoke signal stuff and we were like, what if it just happens? That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And I also think me going through perimenopause and like I think about our old house that we were in, I just remember the specific night of waking up literally drenched in sweat in my bed. And I was like, I just can't wear clothes anymore, bed. It's so fucking hot. I am so hot all the time. And I'm not really hot all the time now that I have the hormone thing figured out. But for me, that was the beginning of this practice of me going to bed naked because I never would have done that before then. And then you kind of like joining me in that. And then we get to take advantage of your freebie morning boners, which are my favorite boners because they're the biggest and the strongest and the hardest because your body's like, oh, look, I have all these hormones. Let's go.
I
Yeah.
mean, you say that there are plenty of non-morning boners that you're like, oh my God, you've never been this full before, or
Yeah.
what's going
Something
on?
has changed and I'm not making it up. Like you have more blood flow than ever before, which means your boners are bigger and
I,
girthier. And
this
I'm
is so
sure I'm making you
fucking
red right
weird.
now. Well, that's what kind of why I wanted to talk about this today. Because I'm like, what's the magic that you're doing? Because other men are going to want the magic. What is the magic?
I I honestly have no idea other than like actually being interested in my wife.
Is that a new thing? Are you just newly interested in me after 4.5 years?
No, I like no. I mean, I think we're just maybe the only thing that's changed is I'm not in the mindset of, okay, we're going to have sex every other day. And now it's just, okay, well, I'll just go to bed naked every night because why not? And then that usually ends up with us, you know, fooling around in the morning
And then us fooling
or as we're
around.
going to bed.
Well, I was going to say, like us fooling around in the morning more. God, I hope this is not just too much information for all of you guys. But what I've noticed is we want each other more. So then it becomes
Hmm.
I'm on a conference call and I get a juicy dick pic, and you're like, are you done yet? Like, come find me.
Well, I
And
think,
that's happening more often too.
Open Bedroom listeners, my name is Robert and I'm the founder of Shameless Care. Now, my good friend Jennifer and I are here today to talk about erectile dysfunction and some of the tools that we have at shamelesscare.com that can help. Now, first things first, in ethically non monogamous people, ED is, well, quite frankly, really common, almost expected. New partners, new situation, a little added pressure. Suddenly things don't work quite as well as we had hoped. And that's where ED medications can really help. At Shameless Care, we have sildenafil and we have tadalafil. We also have compounded medications like Shameless Duo, which is a combination of sildenafil and tadalafil, so you don't have to worry so much about the timing aspects. We also have Shameless Trio, which is sildenafil, tadalafil, and apomorphine. Apomorphine can help with the mental side of sex. So just go to shamelesscare.com. Be sure to use coupon code OpenBedroom, shamelesscare.com, and use coupon code OpenBedroom because that's what helps support the Open Bedroom podcast.
To reiterate, anxiety is a vicious cycle. And if there are things that are creating anxiety, all kinds of things, aside from just, oh, well, you know, my body is not responding the way I want it to right now, to the, feeling like, oh, we're not having sex as often as we used to, or for whatever other reason, I feel like maybe my wife's, disappointed. And, we had an episode on here a while back where we talked about that I I attribute to anxiety, that spiral of just becoming completely sexually detached from your partner. And then you meet so many people who are like, oh, I haven't had sex with my husband in 6 months or something like that. And he never really wants to, or he's never seems to be in the mood, or, men start adopting behaviors, I think, to specifically make themselves, to turn their wives off, wives, girlfriends, whatever, turn their partners off because they're trying to uh, they've started to view sex with their partner as an anxiety riddled chore or burden, and they're avoiding it. Um, so that's one route you can go. And then I guess the opposite end of the spectrum is where you feel like, oh, we've been having a really great sex life lately. Now I'm feeling confident. I feel less anxiety. And so it's a lot easier to get in the mood. It's a lot easier to just randomly be like, oh, I'm going to, send Jen a racy photo while she's on her business call. And then, we can fool around some. And so they're both kind of self-perpetuating cycles, I think. One of them is that sexual death spiral of anxiety, and the other one is where things feel great and you feel confident, and so you just want to do more of it. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel not only good physically in the moment, but it makes you feel more uh, safe and stable and satisfied in your relationship as a whole.
Mm. What makes you feel most connected?
uh, that's a whole that I don't know. That's a big topic.
Okay.
Feel most connected.
To me, and specifically.
Right. But there are all kinds of different types, different flavors of feeling connected. Like when we're traveling together, when we're going to the other side of the world together, that feels like very connective because we're venturing away from home, venturing away from the familiar and the safety, the familiarity and the safety of home, off to, an exotic place or something. That feels very connected. That feels like something, you're not, that's not something you do with a stranger. That's something you're unified in doing. When we go, we went to that kink party together, and we're there clearly just with each other. We're not there to hook up with other people. We're not there uh, to split up and mingle around. We're there to be there together. Like that feels very connective. Um, when we, I mean, there are all kinds of things we do together. We're, just going out and watching a movie together, going out on a dinner date together, and talking a lot, like communicating, meaningful communication, and really like exploring ideas together. We'll have pretty regularly, we'll have conversations where we're not just talking about a thing that somebody did, but we're talking about the idea behind it. We're talking about the meaning behind things. I think that feels very connective to have that kind of that substantial intellectual exchange. And then obviously it feels very connective um, when we're like exchanging touch, but it's not just like going through emotion. It's when we are feeling like really safe and warm toward each other and exchanging that mutual arousal. And it's like, we're speaking to each other through our fingertips, we're reading each other's bodies. uh that's an incredibly connective experience, I think.
Which is really hard to do with your clothes on in bed.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that it's such a weird energy difference when you come to bed, even just in your underwear and a t-shirt, and I'm like, I can't feel you. Not just like I can't feel your skin, but like I
Yeah.
can't feel your energy. I can't feel how I feel about you. It's like a block. It's really weird. I don't know if you feel the same way or if I'm just like weirdly woo-woo.
No, I mean, yeah, I agree. Like, that's what I was saying. Like there's not a substitute for that skin to skin contact. Like where you can really feel the texture of each other, you can feel the warmth of each other's bodies. Yeah, I think that's very powerful. Can be very arousing, very connective, and uh, yeah, I think I think that definitely benefits us. I think it's good for us to, gosh, I mean, we know so many people that don't even sleep in the same bed as their partners.
I can't even
To,
imagine.
yeah, and I, for whatever reason, that's what some people need, or some people can't sleep comfortably if somebody else is next to them. But I think that it definitely, hmm, I think it's definitely a great supplement for your partnership and for your connection to sleep together and to like be able to touch, uh, where there's not some barrier between the two of you, to really be able to exchange that warmth, exchange, like feel the energy of each other's bodies. I think that really enhances things. My mindset around sex and intimacy and how I approach it and like the things that give me gratification, what I'm looking for out of it is very different from plenty of other people. Different things turn different people on, uh, and even like how your anxiety works, how your arousal works, and the the like where your partner's satisfaction, uh, where that ranks in your list of priorities. I think that makes a difference because, like, for me, the thing that the thing that's really turning me on isn't the opportunity to get off. Like, the thing that turns me on is and keeps me going is, like, you can probably attest to, like, if I'm if what I'm doing is like hitting the right spots, I want to keep hitting the right spots. And it's a lot easier to hit the right spots if I'm very aroused. So it's like that perpetuates itself. But like, maybe I'm sure there are plenty of people who like they're gratifying their ego just by, having the biggest dick, or by being able to stay hard for a long time, or just being able to get off really hard. Um, so yeah, I can't speak to what keeps them going. I can only speak to what what works for me.
I want to ask you one more question, and we
Okay.
can completely edit this if you don't like it, okay?
Okay.
Do you have a favorite like pre-game ritual when you know
No.
we're gonna go into like
Well,
mountains of sex night, not just me and you, but typically like if we're with someone else or with a few other else's, Do you have like a pregame?
No, yeah, my pregame ritual is I take a shower and make sure my body and my beard smell really nice. That's that's about it.
That's it? You don't have anything for like to, if our conversation's around ED, you don't have like, I take a pill, I like look at a video, I
Well, I mean,
psych
sure, I
myself
might.
up. I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm sure I'll
I edge
probably.
myself. I don't know. I'm just curious if you have like a little
No, no, I don't
ritual.
do edging. I'm not like looking at porn videos to get turned on. Um, in fact, I find that to be kind of impeding. Like if I'm fantasizing about if I not that this happens a lot, but if I were like watching a porn video and fantasizing about somebody else and then go and you call me into bed, like that's kind of jarring. That creates a conflict that actually, and I know, you mentioned with with a previous husband how like, oh, well, he would look at porn before you guys would be looking at porn while you were
While we
having
were having
sex.
sex, yeah.
And I know that works for some people. That does not that has a countering effect for me. Like I don't want to do that. I don't want to get in bed with you with some other porn video going in my mind.
Is it dissociative? Is that why? Where you're like,
May Yeah, maybe.
my brain is watching this while I'm like fucking this real life human, and that feels weird to me.
Yeah, because it kind of negates the connectedness of it.
Yeah.
Um, and I started that with a different train of thought, but that's where it just came to. Yeah.
I
Oh,
should
oh
make a,
yeah,
oh, go
ritual
ahead.
before sex. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, not really. I'll usually like if we've got a girlfriend coming over and we're planning on having a pretty intense night, then yeah, I'll usually take something beforehand. But other than that, other than just being clean and smelling good, uh, that's that's about it.
Which you do, and that is immensely being turned on for us. I just want to make a plug to it, and I'll put the link below. I did an episode about how to create your own spank bank, and that's
Oh
something
yeah.
that actually was, I mean, I created it because of Scott when we first started dating, and he was like, "Hey, if I ever do look at porn, I'm looking for women that look like you. Like, I want to teach myself, to train myself to associate sex with you and not just random sex with you, but like specific sex with you." And I
And
thought that was
and
so
and
cool. Go ahead.
and if I could like,
Yeah.
that is looking at porn before we do something like, yeah, some a lot of times when I, send you the naughty photo while you're on your business call, I'll be looking at videos of us. Like I'm not looking at porn of some strangers, but I will sometimes look at videos that we've made together and that like I like that transition from watching a video of us to actually getting back into it.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being so honest and transparent, for sharing your journey. I know this is probably not the easiest podcast episode to record with me, but I think our listeners are appreciative of this, especially how raw you've just shared everything. And it's a
Sure, I hope
difficult
that's
conversation
helpful.
to have. Yeah, I hope so. So I'm linking a bunch of stuff below. I'm linking the episode that you referred to, which was men spiraling into detachment. I can't quite remember what we called it, but
Yeah.
I'll put that one in there. That's actually one of the most um, listened to of Scott's. The Create Your Own Spank Bank episode is, I think, really good. And we talked a lot about different ways that we create our own spank banks, even how we do it with partners. If we have a long-term partner that we're with, we'll create stuff together. Um, I will put the link below to Shameless Care so you guys can get a discount if you want to do the telehealth or if you want to sign up and get any ED meds. What's interesting about this company is they don't do they refuse to do subscriptions because they're like everyone else just tries to get you into the loop so that they can kind of scam you in month over month and then your drawer's like overflowing with meds. I think that's pretty cool. They send you a reminder. Do you want to refill? Great. Click this button and we'll refill it for you. And if not, don't worry. So I think that's neat. Thanks, babe.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give us a like and click subscribe below and stay up to date on all the new episodes that we release. If you have a topic that you'd really like more information on, leave us a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and especially your partners. This is a great way to open up some amazing conversations. We'll see you next week.